Pay attention to these three young people walking down a Toronto street. Three friends, after a night out at the clubs, heading home. The woman on the left, that's Tess Richey, 22 years old. The man in the middle, Callan Schlatter, 21. And the woman on the right, Riley Simmerd, Tess's old high school friend. They're drunk, laughing, talking. Two of these three people have known each other for years, and one they just met in a bar a few minutes ago. They have no idea that in less than an hour, one of them will be dead. They walked out of that camera's view, but Toronto has cameras everywhere, and another one was waiting. Security camera at the intersection, different angle. There they are again, and this is where everything changes. Watch this. Riley stops for some reason, but we notice she wasn't with her jacket anymore. She waves goodbye. Tess raises her hand in return, a quick, casual wave. She doesn't even turn around. That's how normal this felt. No dramatic goodbye, no long hug. Callan barely acknowledges it. He's already focused on Tess, already moving closer, and just like that, Riley walks away. She has no idea she just left her friend with a killer. Hand in hand, they turn to walk away from the light, toward the darker section of the street. That's the last time multiple cameras clearly captured Tess Richey alive. What happens next happens in a place where the camera quality was very poor. The camera has very poor quality, but you can see them walk together, hand in hand, into that alley. What happens next in that stairwell at the end of that alleyway, the cameras can't capture, but they do capture this. 45 minutes later, watch him emerge, alone. As for Tess, she never left that stairwell alive.
It was a chilling, heartbreaking discovery made by a mother searching for her daughter. November 29th, the mother of 22-year-old Tess Richey found her daughter's lifeless body in that stairwell right behind me here, just off of Church Street. She had been missing for 4 days.
To understand what was lost that night, you need to know who Tess Richey really was. Born November 30th, 1994, she was the baby of 5 sisters in a tight-knit family from North Bay, Ontario. At 22, she was the kind of person who collected houseplants, ran marathons, and spent her weekends tree planting. She had 2 dogs she adored, Phil and Pearl, and a dream that burned bright, becoming a flight attendant and seeing the world. After completing the flight services program at Seneca College that spring, Tess had been juggling coffee shop shifts while waiting for her big break with the airlines. When the offers didn't come fast enough, she pivoted. She started studying Italian, planning to work as an au pair in Italy while pursuing her dream of travel. But Tess had known darkness too. Years earlier, she'd survived an abusive relationship and had even posted a video about it on YouTube, hoping to help other young women recognize the warning signs.
I guess in this video what I'm trying to do is tell my story, because I know for me, when I was going through this, I was searching everywhere I could, trying to find somewhere where somebody would understand and be able to get what I was going through, and I never found that. My boyfriend decided it was okay to strike me, whether it's just a strike, whether it's a punch, whether it's a hair pull, whatever it is, it's not okay. And like, he told his friends that he just threw a purse at me, and I'm like, even that's embarrassing. If only that's all that happened, but even that's embarrassing that you have to say, oh, all I did was throw a purse at her. No, it's really sad, and it makes me really sad because we were up in his bedroom, and that's when he hit me. I'm trying to justify. I don't even know. It's just, I've never been beat so badly or imagined me being beat so badly. It's so hard every day.
And on November 24th, 2017, she needed that resilience more than ever. She'd just gone through a devastating breakup, and the heartache was crushing her. What she didn't know was that her vulnerability would make her a target. What Tess didn't know that night was that she'd crossed paths with someone who seemed safe, but wasn't. Callan Schlatter, 21 years old, living with his parents in North Toronto, working odd jobs doing exterior property maintenance. On paper, he looked like a regular guy. Clean record, no history of violence. In fact, just 3 months earlier, he'd been celebrated as a hero after stopping a violent hammer attack on his neighbor.
I heard just the faintest little, just not even like no one else heard, just a help.
This quick-thinking Good Samaritan witnessed the alleged attack, which happened at Earls Court Park Saturday night. He says he saw the accused strike the victim in the head at least 4 times. He too asked not to be identified.
When I actually got close, then I saw it was a hammer. The first thing he yelled out was, "I called the cops." And then I yelled out, "Oh, what the hell is going on here," right?
Risking his own safety, that's when he got closer and the accused took off. He turned his attention to the bleeding man left unconscious on a patch of grass.
This arm here was on his back, supporting it up, and my hand here was on one of the wounds, trying to compress it as much as I possibly could.
But behind the headlines, there was something darker lurking beneath. After his arrest, investigators discovered his phone was filled with disturbing searches involving violent and non-consensual scenarios. He'd bragged to undercover cops about his ability to seduce women, claiming he'd slept with over 40 despite his young age. He talked about liking a challenge, about sometimes needing to push the boundaries with women to see where it goes. These weren't the words of someone who respected consent. On the night of November 24th, Callan went to Cruise and Tango's, a popular drag bar in Toronto's Church and Wellesley neighborhood. He told undercover officers later that he liked going to gay bars because it was easier to pick up women there. He was hunting, and that night he'd find his target. Tess had spent that Friday afternoon with her sister Rachel, trying to heal from her breakup. They'd shopped, visited the dog park, sat together for hours just talking. Rachel made food for Tess, worried because her little sister had lost her appetite from the heartache. That evening, Tess had plans to meet up with Riley Simard, an old high school friend she hadn't seen in nearly 3 years. Around 11:30 that night, Rachel's partner called an Uber for Tess to head downtown. Rachel walked her to the door and watched her baby sister run down the front path to the waiting car, waving goodbye with a smile. She had no idea it would be the last time she'd see Tess alive. Tess arrived at Cruise and Tango's just after midnight. Inside the club, Tess and Riley drank heavily, dancing and trying to forget their troubles. What they didn't know was that Callan Schlatter was in that same bar, watching. Investigators initially thought Callan met Tess and Riley on the street after they left, but trial evidence revealed he'd been tracking them from inside the club. Around 1:30 in the morning, security asked the 2 very drunk young women to leave. They stumbled out onto Church Street, bought hot dogs from a cart, and started wandering north. That's when Callan made his move, approaching them on the street and offering to walk with them. To Tess and Riley, he seemed harmless, just another friendly face on a cold November night, but every step they took together was leading towards something dark. Let me walk you through what happened next, because the timeline is everything. It's now around 3:30 in the morning on November 25th. Tess, Riley, and Callan stop on Dundonald Street. A woman who lives there is outside smoking with a friend. The 3 join them for about 20 minutes of conversation. The woman would later tell police that Tess seemed really upset about her recent breakup. Callan, she said, was trying to comfort her. He blended into the background, unremarkable, forgettable. That's what made him dangerous. At 4 o'clock in the morning, Riley gets a text from her boyfriend asking her to come home. She says goodbye to Tess and starts walking toward the College streetcar. In that moment, Riley made a decision that would haunt her forever. She left her drunk, heartbroken friend alone with a stranger. Now it's just Tess and Kaylin on the empty street. Tess orders an Uber to take her home. The driver accepts. The car is on its way. But Callan isn't done yet. Surveillance footage shows him approaching Tess again, sitting down next to her on a concrete bench at the corner of Church and Dundonald. According to his later testimony, he told her about his own breakup to make her feel better. He said she listened intently, even ignored a phone call. But prosecutors would prove that phone call never happened. What actually happened was far more calculated. Callan was preventing Tess from getting into that Uber. He was keeping her engaged, keeping her there, waiting for his opportunity. And when that Uber finally arrived and was then mysteriously canceled, investigators believe Callan saw his chance. What happened in that stairwell would only be revealed through forensic evidence, witness testimony, and Callan's own jailhouse confessions. Tess's Fitbit, which was linked to her mother's account, showed she took about 300 steps after 3 in the morning, then stopped. Her Uber account showed the ride being canceled at 4. The surveillance timestamp showed them entering the stairwell at 4:12. And then, for 45 agonizing minutes, nothing. Just silence. Prosecutors believed Callan lured Tess down those stairs by offering to walk her to her Uber, or perhaps by suggesting they continue their conversation somewhere more private. Tess, drunk and vulnerable and trusting, followed him down. But once they were in that stairwell, Callan's intentions became clear. He wanted sex, and when Tess refused, when she tried to leave, he wouldn't let her. A jailhouse informant would later testify about what Callan told him in their cell. According to the informant, Callan admitted everything. He said he was sexually aroused and wanted to keep going, but Tess wanted to stop, so he tied a scarf around her neck. Tess was on the ground, and it excited him. He was past the point of control. When he finally removed the scarf, Tess was dead. Forensic evidence supported this account. Callan's semen was found on Tess's pants. His saliva was on the inside of her bra. A forensic pathologist determined she'd been strangled, possibly with fabric or a forearm. The autopsy revealed neck compression as the cause of death. Tess had fought back, but she was no match for him.
Good morning, and thank you for attending. I'm here to update you on the arrest of a suspect with regard to homicide 56 for 2017, and that's the murder of Tess Richey. She'd been down in the area of Wellesley and Church, attending a bar with a friend of hers. And while she was down there, she interacted with several people, one of which was a young man that she met up with at some point, who turns out to be our suspect. And she was in fact last seen in his company by witnesses. She was reported missing later that day by her sister. And as a result, 51 Division, assisted by 41 Division, commenced an investigation into the missing person occurrence. On November 29th, Tess was unfortunately located deceased by members of her family who were in the area searching for her. And she was found in a exterior stairwell outside of 582 Church Street. On Friday, December 1st, following a post-mortem examination, her cause of death was determined to be neck compression. At that time, the homicide unit took carriage of the investigation, and it became a homicide investigation. On Sunday, December the 3rd, investigators put out a press release with a description of this unknown male who had been seen with Tess that night in the area of Church and Wellesley between 2 and 5 a.m. The The description of that male was a male white who was taller than Tess, approximately 5'7" to 6 feet, somewhere in that range, the slim build and light-colored short hair. On Sunday, December 10th, investigators released some surveillance video images of a male that we are looking to identify as part of this investigation. As a result of those images being released, we did receive tremendous support from the community. So on Sunday, Sunday, February 4th, so yesterday at about 11 p.m., we were able to effect the arrest of the person responsible for Tess's murder. We're alleging that he's responsible. He was arrested for second-degree murder, and his name is Kalen Schlatter, K-A-L-E-N. This is his first name, S-C-H-L-A-T-T-E-R. He's 21 years old, and he resides in Toronto. He did appear today at College Park Courts, and he's going to be remaining in custody. He was remanded in custody.
"4 days. That's how long Tess lay in that stairwell before anyone found her. On Saturday morning, November 25th, Rachel sent Tess a text at 8:45. No response. By evening, when multiple messages went undelivered, Rachel knew something was terribly wrong. She called hospitals. She called police. Tess was officially reported missing that day. But here's where it gets infuriating. On November 26th, 2 Toronto police officers were called to check an address on Dundonald Street in relation to the missing person case. They were told it was Tess's last known location. They were 40 meters away from where her body lay. They didn't search properly. They didn't canvass neighbors. They didn't notify supervisors. They left. By November 27th, Tess's mother, Christine, had driven 4 hours from North Bay to Toronto because police weren't finding her daughter. She spent 2 days putting up posters, organizing searches, begging anyone for information. Then, on November 29th, Christine and a family friend decided to search more thoroughly around the house 2 doors from where Tess was last seen. The house was closed for renovation. Outside was a narrow stairwell leading to a basement. Christine's friend stared down that stairwell for a long moment before her mind registered what she was seeing. It was Tess's lifeless body. Christine came running when she heard the screams. When she looked down and recognized her daughter, she started screaming too. It was like looking into a grave, she would later say. The trauma of that moment would haunt her forever. Police initially called it an accident, but an autopsy on December 1st revealed the truth. Neck compression, strangulation, homicide. Detectives pulled surveillance footage and saw the unknown man with Tess. They released his image to the public. Within hours, Kalen Schlatter called police himself, identifying himself as the man in the photo. He thought he could talk his way out of it. He thought he was smart enough to walk away. He was wrong. At the station, Kalen refused to give a statement. He was uncooperative, clearly hiding something. But his parents, trying to support their son, brought him food and water. Detectives collected that water bottle after they left and sent it for DNA analysis. The results were damning. It matched DNA found on Tess's body. On February 4th, 2018, Kalen Schlatter was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. But on March 21st, after new evidence emerged, the charges were upgraded to first-degree murder. Police had discovered that this wasn't a crime of opportunity. Kalen had been at the same bar watching Tess all night. This was planned. The trial began in January 2020. Kalen's defense team tried everything. They even suggested an alternate suspect claiming he was the real killer. But prosecutors tore that theory apart. On March 23, 2020, after 3 days of deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict. Guilty of first-degree murder. The courtroom erupted. Tess's family wept. Callan showed no emotion. 2 days later, he was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. The judge noted Callan's sexual appetite for violence led him to take an innocent woman by the hand down a path to her death. He'd stolen a piece of the very being of everyone who loved Tess, and he'd shed no tears for their loss. Callan appealed. On January 9, 2024, that appeal was denied. He remains in prison today. But justice in a courtroom doesn't undo the damage. It doesn't heal the wounds that never close. Tess's death shattered her family completely. Her mother, Christine, said they can barely look at each other now, consumed by guilt that they somehow let Tess down. In June 2020, the family filed a $20 million lawsuit against Callan, Toronto police, and others, seeking accountability for the failures that left Tess's body lying in that stairwell for 4 days. As of today, that lawsuit remains unresolved. This case reminds us that predators don't always look like monsters. Sometimes they look like heroes. Sometimes they're the guy who helps his neighbor, who blends into the background at a bar, who offers to walk you home when you're drunk and heartbroken. Trust your instincts. Stay with your friends. And remember Tess Richey, who deserves so much more than the 45 minutes that ended her life.